How's it going, guys? JP back at you once again, bringing you guys part number 6 in my entire DVD and Blu-ray collection, the 2015 version. So let's start right away with a classic. It is a Stephen King classic. It is a George Romero classic. And of course it is an anthology classic. That classic is, if you haven't guessed by now, Creepshow. Creepshow is one of those rare anthologies where every segment is good, all 5 of them. And I've actually heard different people say different ones are their favorite. For example, I've heard somebody say that The Crate is their favorite segment. I've heard people say that They're Creeping Up on You is their favorite segment. And Father's Day. My personal favorite is the Stephen King segment with the mossy grass stuff. But there's a case for every one of the 5 segments to be the best segment, and I think that is awesome. It's very rare that you get that, and especially when you're dealing with a film that has 5 segments, you have even more room for failure, more opportunity for failure, so it really is cool to see an anthology that is so well done. Even the comic book style is great. I love Creepshow. Fantastic anthology. After that, we have another Stephen King, George Romero classic anthology, and that is Creepshow 2. This one, they took kind of a step back and only created 3 segments for this film. They're a little bit longer, but they're all 3 still really good. Chief Woodenhead I actually do like. I know a lot of people kind of give that one crap sometimes, but I really enjoy it. The Raft is a great segment, and of course The Hitchhiker is a good segment as well. This one, all 3 segments are good. But I think it's slightly less impressive because there are only 3. Meanwhile, the first Creepshow was able to make 5 good segments. But this is still a awesome film. I love Creepshow 2. I even might like watching it more than the first one for The Raft, which could actually probably be a feature. After that, we have Creepshow 3, not a classic. I've actually never seen this one, but I have literally heard nothing but bad things. And then every once in a while I'll hear somebody say like, oh yeah, it's bad, but it's not as bad as everybody says it is. So, bad. It's pretty bad, I guess. It's funny how this happened, how this company ended up getting the rights for Creepshow 3 and, making their own sequel having nothing to do with Stephen King and George Romero. Kind of shitty, but I will eventually check it out. I hear it. I've heard it being described as a bad version of Goosebumps. So if that tells you anything. After that, we have another Charles Band Full Moon film. We had one of those in the last update, and that is The Creeps. I don't remember this one being very good. Cool concept. You have little people playing Dracula, Frankenstein, the werewolf, and the mummy. No creature, but cool concept, but I feel like what I remember is it really didn't have anything to do with that. Didn't really have anything to do with the little monsters that much, which it's kind of a bummer. But it's full moon goodness, I guess. It's probably slightly entertaining. After that, we have Creepy Crawlies, also known as They Nest. This was a sci-fi film. I believe it was a sci-fi original in the early 2000s, and I remember really enjoying it. Sci-fi used to do these marathons of like killer insect films, and they would have stuff like The Nest on there, and I always enjoyed the stuff that they was putting out back then. Stuff like Mosquito and Ticks would be airing, and of course this film, Creepy Crawlies, or They Nest. I think it's some sort of killer cockroach type film. Of course there is some bad CGI and stuff, but they also use some practical effects, and overall it's just way better made than the sci-fi movies you see nowadays. I do recommend checking this one out. You can grab it really cheap, and it is a nice little chunk of escapism. So yeah, check that one out. After that, we have Critters, the original. Shout out to Critter Buster, aka Chris. Big fan of these movies. Critters is awesome. Right after the Gremlins film came out, where it kicked off the little monster craze, Critters is one of the, I would say, few of the Little Monster rip-offs. It actually was a good movie. This was New Line Cinema's version of Gremlins, I guess. And Critters is fun, man. It's a little you know, slapsticky and stuff like that, a little cartoony, but at the same time, I loved this film as a kid. I think these little monster films are the best kind of films to get younger kids into horror, because they're not too violent, yet they still can be scary at the same time, and still kind of funny, and at the end of the day, you won't leave the kid too scarred. So Critters is one that I've always showed my little cousins and stuff like that. I love the farm setting. It's just a very, very cool film. I love Critters. After that, we have Critters 2, which is also a really fun movie. This one and this first one go hand in hand. They're really cool. This one, I remember, had a really funny moment with a Freddy Krueger standee and stuff like that. I mean, kind of broke the fourth wall a bit, but it was awesome. I love Critters 2. A lot of fun. It's a great follow-up to the first film. Those two, watching them back to back, really complement each other well. Of course, after that, we have Critters 3, which is actually Leonardo DiCaprio's film debut. Says so right on the cover. This one was decent, a little bit of a decline from the first two. This one takes place in the city, but you're kind of in one apartment, so it doesn't really feel like you're in the city all that much. Still a pretty okay watch. Not as good as the first two, but definitely very enjoyable. After that, you have to follow that up with Critters 4. This one takes place in space. I remember watching it as a kid. I haven't watched this DVD yet, though. You know, I remember checking this out on VHS back as a kid, so I really can't compliment on the film itself. I need to crack this one open and give Critters 4 a watch pretty soon. Pretty cool that they made 4 Critters movies, though. You know, that's more than Gremlins made, so that's pretty cool. After that, of course, we have Cujo, another Stephen King classic here. This is one of those films that is very, very, very good the first time you watch it. Unfortunately, I do not feel that Cujo has a lot of rewatch value. It comes off very frustratingly annoying the second time around, and I really haven't gave it many more watches after the second time. This is a one and done film. It'll, you know, have you very emotional the first time you watch it, and I've noticed that second time you don't get impacted as much, which really hurts the film. So this is one of those rare films where I feel like you only need to see it once. It's a must-see, but you only need to see it once, and probably don't see it again, because it might just, you know, decline your overall experience. The stuff that they was doing with the dog back then, I feel like it would not work today, so this is kind of one of those films that could only have been made when it was made. But Cujo is a classic for sure. After that, we have Wes Craven's Cursed. I actually like this film. It's not that bad. Of course, this is a werewolf film starring Christina Ricci and Shannon Elizabeth. I believe Jesse Eisenberg is also in this one, but it was before he was famous, so he doesn't get front credit. It's cheesy and over-the-top comedy, and honestly very awkward. It almost feels like Wes Craven was trying to be like hip when he made this, and it comes off a little bad, but at the same time I still kind of enjoy this one. It's not that bad. This film is plagued with production issues. This was a Kevin Williamson, Wes Craven you know, team up, and from what I understand, it just had so many problems, so figures that we don't get a great film out of it. So Cursed. After that, we have The Damned. This is an IFC Midnight. I actually did not watch this one yet, so I really can't say anything about it. This was one of those $10 Walmart pickups. I love seeing IFCs at Walmart because I feel like, you know, there's so much crap at Walmart that, at least with IFC, I know that a good portion of the time I'm getting something that's at least solid. So I usually pick up any IFC Midnight I see at Walmart. Unfortunately now, or I guess it would be fortunately, Scream Factory and IFC have partnered up, so unfortunately I will probably be buying them all on Blu-ray now, which means that they won't be at Walmart, but fortunately it's two of my favorite distributors like coming together, so that's really cool. So yeah, The Damned. After that, we have Dark Harvest 2, The Maze. Blah. I have not watched this. I have not seen Dark Harvest 1, so maybe when I eventually pick up Dark Harvest 1, I will watch Dark Harvest 2. I believe there is even a third Dark Harvest. So I love Killer Scarecrows, but I highly doubt that this one is any good. I'm pretty sure I heard everybody say that this is bad. But who knows? You never know. What's funny is it actually has some special features on here. Old Lionsgate DVD. After that, we have one of the few After Dark Horror Fest films I own, and that is Dark Ride. This was actually the first one I picked up. It's actually a pretty solid little slasher. I did enjoy it, surprisingly enough. I will say, though, that I was holding off for a long time picking up these After Dark films simply because I wanted to get them in box set format. But the longer I waited, the more expensive those box sets are getting, so I'm just going to axe that. Whenever I have some more money, I'm going to go and just pick them all up on DVD and possibly either do, each season on the podcast or each season on my channel or review them in some format. I think that'd be a fun time. So yeah, Dark Ride. After that, we have The Day After, which Brandon actually recommended me this on an early episode of the podcast. Says it's very depressing and stuff. Sounds awesome. I can't wait to check it out. This one is about 2 hours and 7 minutes, so I haven't really, put the time aside to check this one out. This is an MGM, so I was a little hesitant to pick it up because MGM is kind of licenses all their films to other companies, Scream Factory being a big one. So it is possible to see a Blu-ray of this come out, which then I would have to probably buy it, so I'd be double dipping. But I only paid about $4 for it, and I believe this one is out of print, so not too bad, not too shabby. Definitely looking forward to checking that one out. After that, we have Day of the Mummy. This one was sent to me as a screener from Image Entertainment, and I gave it about a 5 out of 10. It's very average. One of the problems was it's set in like pyramids, but none of the sets looked real. There was one scary moment in it that actually kind of made me jump. It was a jump scare, but besides that, it's just the average little thriller type horror movie. So Day of the Mummy, kind of an action film as well. After that, we have Daybreakers. Never watched this one, had it in a collection for a long time, put out by Lionsgate. Believe it is a vampire film. I'll give it a shot eventually, just haven't yet. After that, we have Dead and Breakfast. I watched this a long time ago. Moods actually sent me this a long time ago. I do remember it a little bit, but I can't remember much about it. So I'll probably have to give this one another watch. It seems like some kind of zom-com. After that, we have Dead End, which is one of my favorites. I actually really like this film. This is a huge sleeper hit. If you've never seen Dead End, I highly recommend it. It's super low budget, but it is very well done. It really is. It's Lin Shaye. Family is driving along a straight highway in the middle of nowhere on their way to a family's house during Christmas vacation, and the road just keeps going and keeps going and keeps going and keeps going and never ends. And that's kind of your story, man. It's really cool. I love this film. I try to watch it every other year or so. And finally, for this part, we have Dead Snow, which is the first, I believe, IFC Midnight film I ever picked up. This was actually when it was called IFC Films, so they didn't even have the Midnight label on it. Very good stuff here, though. Dead Snow, I really had a blast watching it the first time. I'm looking forward to checking out the sequel, which I still haven't checked out yet. Great Nazi comedy zombie thing. Really cool stuff here. So I'll see you guys next time with another part. Thank you for watching.